I hope you're having an amazing day. What if I told you the man who discovered the force that holds the entire universe together was once a lonely, quiet boy, forgotten by his own mother, building tiny machines on a farm? What if I told you the greatest scientist in history nearly failed school, avoided people, and found his biggest ideas while sitting under a tree, watching apples fall? This is not just a story about science. This is a story about pain, passion, silence, wonder, and the power of asking one simple question: why? In the cold winter of 1642, when most families in Lincolnshire were gathered by firesides or tending farm animals, a small child entered the world at Woolsthorpe Manor. Isaac Newton was born prematurely, so tiny that those who laid eyes on him thought he might not survive. But there was something determined in his spirit, something that would carry him far beyond the little farmhouse where he took his first breath. That small, fragile child grew into a thinker so powerful that his ideas would shape how generations understood nature, motion, light, and the cosmos. Isaac's mother, Hannah, had already suffered heartbreak. His father, also named Isaac, had died before he was born. From the moment he came into being, he brought both sorrow and hope. Hannah remarried when Isaac was about 3, leaving him behind with his grandparents. That separation cut deep. Though he was never old enough to fully remember his father, the absence of his mother created a silent ache in his heart. Yet even in those early years, Isaac found comfort in quiet discovery. While other children ran and laughed in the fields, he passed hours watching insects crawl over leaves. The way wind rippled across pond surfaces, or how frost etched patterns like lace across window panes. He built little wooden devices, clocks, pulleys, even toy carriages, and seemed to sense the inner logic that made them move. There was no teacher to show him these things. He taught himself, driven by curiosity and guided by a still, inner wonder. When Isaac finally attended school in Grantham, he was polite but reserved. His classmates did not understand him at first. They saw a boy who seemed to speak only when spoken to, who preferred solitude to play, whose mind drifted toward the clouds whenever the teacher began a lesson. They nicknamed him Quiet and Strange, but a perceptive schoolmaster, Mr. Stokes, recognized something rare. One afternoon, he invited Isaac to the schoolhouse library and placed before him a heavy volume of geometry. Isaac's eyes brightened, and he read eagerly. From that moment on, he devoured books upon books: arithmetic, algebra, Euclid, astronomy, natural philosophy. He was not content with memorizing. He wanted to understand. He asked questions. Why does a stone fall fast? Why does water flow downhill? Why does the moon not slump off to one side? These questions, simple as they sounded, stirred something deeper in his young mind, a hunger for truth. By the time he was 18, Isaac earned a place at Trinity College, Cambridge. The university was old and grand, full of history and powerful minds. Tall spires, ancient libraries, sprawling gardens, and the sense of tradition gave Isaac both awe and unease. He joined debates and discussions, but more often he withdrew into solitude, into books, into reflection, into experiments he conducted at night in his dorm room. He was unassuming. He kept to himself. But inside, his mind was racing, chasing ideas across the fields of mathematics and physics. In 1665, tragedy and opportunity struck together. The Great Plague spread through England. Cambridge closed its gates. Students and professors fled. Isaac returned to Woolsthorpe Manor. He was alone again, as he had been in childhood, but now he carried more knowledge, more tools, and more imagination than ever before. Those months became the most productive of his life. It was in the orchard at Woolsthorpe that legend tells us he sat beneath an apple tree on a calm afternoon. An apple fell. Others might have eaten it and tossed the core aside, but Isaac watched. His mind saw something an average eye would miss: the invisible force pulling the apple downward. Why, he thought, does the apple always fall straight down? Why does it not go sideways or up? That one question opened a door. If gravity pulls the apple, might it also pull the moon? Could gravity stretch all the way to the moon, bending its orbit around Earth? Could the same invisible hand shape the motion of planets, moons, comets, and tides? Isaac hurried back indoors. He pored over notebooks. He sketched curves and angles. He built up the mathematics he named calculus, a new way to describe change, motion, and velocity. It was hard work. He had no computers, no calculators, only paper, quill, ink, and a mind that would not stop. With calculus, he could express how an object's velocity changes when a force acts on it. With calculus, he could calculate orbits. More than that, he could discover laws, simple, clear, universal laws that described the universe. When Cambridge reopened in 1667, Isaac returned, eager to test his theories and learn from others. He debated with professors and students. By day, he attended formal lectures, and by night, he studied deeply. He invented a reflecting telescope, polishing mirrors himself, and used it to study the nature of light. He passed light through prisms, watching it split into a rainbow of colors. He realized that white light is not pure. It is a blend of all colors. That discovery shifted how people understood optics. Light was not shaped by the medium around it, but composed of many parts, and color was an inherent property. This brought him admiration and also resistance. Optics was a field dominated by others like Robert Hooke, and disputes arose. Isaac was shy, yet fiercely proud. He avoided crowds but confronted critics. His debate with Hooke about light and optics became heated. He later disputed with Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz over who invented calculus first. These clashes hurt Isaac. They made him angry and bitter. They isolated him further. Yet deep inside, behind the stubbornness, lay someone who simply wanted to matter. He wanted truth to be recognized. He cared that his work would stand the test of time. In 1687, his most important work appeared, Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica. In those pages lay the three laws of motion and the universal law of gravitation. His first law: objects move in straight lines unless a force changes that motion. His second law: force equals mass times acceleration, F equals ma. His third law: for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and tying it all together, gravity. Every mass attracts every other mass, and the strength of attraction depends on the mass and the square of the distance between them. These laws explained earthly motions, from apples falling to cannonballs shooting, as well as celestial motions, from moon orbits to planet paths. The Principia was precise, mathematical, revolutionary. People across Europe were captivated. Merely months after it was published, scholars saw that Newton had achieved what they had not: a coherent, predictive mathematical picture of the universe that worked everywhere. Even so, the journey was not painless. Isaac wrote as though he were writing to himself, dense, compact, difficult for others. He did not simplify his explanations. Only those with deep mathematical training could follow every proof. That was Newton's nature. He valued clarity in his mind. He expected others to rise to meet it. When someone asked Isaac to travel or speak publicly, he usually declined. He remained in his tower of thought, but the world came to him. In 1703, he was elected president of the Royal Society, the most prestigious scientific organization in England. He was widely respected, even by former rivals. In 1705, Queen Anne dubbed him Sir Isaac Newton. Yet he felt awkward in pomp and ceremony. He knelt before the monarch as though in bewilderment. "What have I earned?" he might have wondered. "I have not worked for glory, but for truth." In those later years, Isaac gradually turned his brilliant mind from stars and light to coins and measurement. He was appointed master of the mint. A huge challenge awaited. England's currency had been heavily counterfeit. People reduced silver content, mixed coins, cheated the system. Newton applied the same methodical approach he gave to physics. He measured the weight of coins, retested them, devised stricter standards, prosecuted counterfeiters vigorously. Some criminals were put to death. He believed that society, like the universe, should obey clear rules: honesty, precision, justice. He treated commerce as seriously as planetary motion. Isaac Newton never married. He never had a family of his own. He lived largely alone. Yet he became a father to natural philosophy, father to modern physics. He mentored no direct heirs, but the world of science grew on the soil he tilled. Generations learned from him. After he died in 1727, aged 85, his funeral was held in Westminster Abbey, among poets and kings. Unimaginable for a boy born to a widowed mother in a small farmhouse. The journey had been long, fraught with loss, solitude, burning ambition, quiet reflection, and boundless wonder. His legacy remains. Even today, students learn in classrooms about the same laws he wrote, the same optic experiments he performed, the same universal gravitational pull he described. He once said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." He acknowledged that he built upon others, but he also built something bigger, a methodology that demanded proof, mathematics, experimentation, humility before facts, and patience in testing. For young people today, perhaps you reading this, what does Isaac Newton's life offer? First, an example of how great discovery can come from simple curiosity. He asked, "Why does an apple fall?" That single question led to insight about the moon, the tides, planetary motion, and to the laws that bind them all. So never ignore small wonders. A falling leaf, a voice echo, a ripple in water. All can lead to questions that open deeper worlds. Second, his life shows that struggle and isolation do not mean failure. Isaac felt loneliness all his life. He had rivalries. He worked until his health suffered, but he persevered because he believed in discovery and truth more than comfort or applause. Students today may feel pressure to perform, to fit in, to win friends. Isaac reminds us, you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to be popular to matter. Your mind and your curiosity matter more. Third, from Isaac, we learn that knowledge needs freedom, patience, and solitude. He flourished when he could think alone, but he also returned to debate and to community when needed. He needed balance, work and rest, study and nature. experiment, and reflection. He taught by example that thinking deeply is not a burden, but a kind of joy. Finally, his life teaches that we each have a part to play in humanity's story of discovery. You may not invent calculus or laws of motion, but you can ask your own questions. You can explore your own world. You can read, write, experiment, build, observe. You can seek truth, even in your own life, truth in friendship, truth in learning, truth in effort. And with persistence, honesty, and curiosity, you may add a page to the story of human understanding.